I'm a reporter for the Daily Chronicle. If there's one thing that I've learned throughout my years as a reporter, it's that the end of the story is rarely the end of the story. In fact, sometimes it is just the beginning. This is a story that was the beginning for me. Although we only met for a brief moment and there was only one word exchanged between us, my life was changed forever. Hello, I'm the reporter from the Chronicle.
Come in.
Thank you. The interview was with Vincenzo Vivaldi, the world's foremost violinist and composer. I admit I didn't know much about him, but I had my questions at the ready. How did he become such a success? How did he create such a legacy? And what inspired him to learn the violin? I felt as though I was stepping on sacred ground when I entered the old man's room. I could feel that his time to depart was drawing nigh. Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Vivaldi. For our readers, what would be the one key factor in achieving all of your great and grand accomplishments?
The Opus.
Those were the last words he ever spoke. As I left the house that day, I now had a greater question than when I had arrived.
The Opus is a composer's greatest work, and the Opus is about us becoming the most amazing, magnificent, extraordinary human beings that we were meant to be.
You and I are here to do magnificent and magnanimous things. You're here to create, and you're here to contribute, and you're here to connect at a high velocity.
Everybody deep inside has a dream and a vision and a calling and an inspiration that they're here to do.
Anyone can do this, and it almost sounds cliche. Everybody says, oh, you can be whatever you want to be, you just got to have the dream. And all of that's true. Unfortunately, it has become cliche and people have stopped listening to it.
The best way for you to predict your future is to invent it. It's up to you.
Vincenzo came to America when he was 7 years old. He came from the old country, Europe. When he got on board the boat that would take him to America, he had no idea he was about to encounter two things that would change his life forever. One was a new country. The other was a teacher and a violin. As the boy listened, He was captivated, and in his heart he knew that one day he would play this song. Vincenzo said that he wanted to play like that one day. Do you really believe that? Do you really believe you can? The old man asked. The young boy replied, yes. That is the key to unlocking your opus. The old man smiled and told him that he had just begun on the road to becoming great. He gave Vincenzo a notebook and told him to write down exactly what he wanted and to keep the book with him always. Vincenzo wrote that one day he would become one of the greatest violinists the world had ever known. The old man put his hand on the boy's shoulder. When you get there, don't stop. Remember, your opus isn't what you do, it will be the legacy of what you've become. Vincenzo did not understand. The old master smiled and said, one day you will. As Vincenzo left the old man, he was grateful, for he had been given a great gift. And although he would never know the man's name, the man had changed his life forever.
Vision is all about who you've decided to be, as if you had a magic wand that you could wave over your life, that you could actually be and do and have everything that's important to you, where you could be fulfilled and you could be in rich relationships and you could be abundant, attracting wealth and all the great things that we all want in life.
You know, you can start your, if you will, your path at a very early age or start it much later in life. I don't think it really matters when you start. But I think what you should try to be thinking about and looking for is something you just love to do, something that really gives you energy. You've got a passion, and that you feel you can commit yourself to.
Some people get into vision and purpose, and they make it so huge, or they think it has to be so big, that they scare themselves and they almost freeze themselves. They don't come up with anything. Your vitality in life is directly proportionate to the vividness of your vision. And when you have a clear vision, magnetic things occur, and you draw into your life amazing synchronicities. People, places, things, ideas, and events start to synchronize in your life to help you fulfill your vision.
The law of attraction just says that anything we think, feel, say, and do, we attract to us. So we're always creating through what we're putting out in our thoughts, our feelings, our words, and our actions.
A very common misconception about the law of attraction, people learning it, is that it's all about positive thinking, and it is not. Positive thinking is obviously, probably more beneficial than negative thinking, sustained negative thinking. But positive thinking can mean just that you're thinking about things that would normally make a person happy. But if you're not truly emotionally involved with your thoughts, you're not really having an attractive power. In other words, if you're visualizing a car, or you're visualizing a house, or you're visualizing lots of money, or whatever your version of success is, but you don't have any real feeling about it, that is in alignment with that. In other words, if you don't feel positive about those thoughts, you're actually not attracting anything positive.
It's the feeling that powers our thoughts. The Institute of Heart Math, which is the most widely recognized research institute on the heart, has shown that our hearts have an energy field around them that's 5,000 times more powerful than our brains. So this is the real power source for people. And when we want something from our head, it can only go so far. But when we power it with the feeling in our heart, the feeling of knowing that I can get it, the feeling of love behind that thought, then we are moved to the inspired action that will bring us what it is we're wanting.
Anytime we set goals that are not congruent with our highest values, we're going to tend to not stay focused on them. We're going to keep going back to what's truly important to us. And so it's very crucial to set objectives that are congruent and aligned with the highest values, because when you do, you don't require outside motivation. You're inspired from within.
I work with teens every day. I've worked with thousands of teenagers all over the country. And what I know to help teenagers love and believe in themselves and have that success-driven vision that so many adults have is the very first thing you have to do is be original. Be yourself. Don't conform, don't transform. Find your own original gifts. You have them, you have so many, and lead with those.
Belief in yourself is the first step to anything great. If you don't believe you can do it, you're finished even before you get to the starting line. You see it all the time in grade school. The kids line up to run the 100-yard dash. They all start off pretty good, but as soon as one or two of those kids pulls ahead, you see a few in the running literally slow down and sometimes stop. That's because when those kids see someone pick up speed, they begin to doubt that they'll ever catch them. And their brain says, what's the use? And suddenly they believe it here. And everything slows down.
I started out in a life of welfare and poverty and became the 25th wealthiest person in America. That would be an extreme that most people can't even comprehend, let alone relate to. And it all started because I believed in my own possibilities.
Whatever we believe, we become.
I don't really think we know what we're capable of. There's incredible potential in all of us. And I mean in all of us, not some of us, all of us. If you find your passion and that energy wells up in you, and if you can dream and start to get committed to that dream and that vision, then you can be successful and far beyond what you ever thought you could.
It is okay to believe in yourself. Start now. Start today.
You are the greatest you that will ever be.
Vincenzo had set a goal. He began to see it powerfully and perfectly. It became real. He experienced it in his mind and in his heart. He was living it vividly as though it had already happened. This gave him the momentum to begin.
I think that the only way you can get to your goal is by having a clear vision. And I feel that that clear vision doesn't necessarily come from your head, but that it comes up from inside of you. That the more we access our gut feeling, the more that we access our core individuality and listen to what it is that's wanting to be said through us, then we have a clear vision of what we're about.
The problem is most people don't really have that clear vision of what success is for them because they've never felt like they were allowed to have that vision for themselves. They always felt like they had to live in to somebody else's idea of what success is.
I think one of the steps that people may not do quite properly is that first step of intention. So many times people's intentions are coming out of a feeling of obligation or I should. When I find that people really stop, which is a hard thing to do in our society, to stop, but it's the thing that is most required for us to stop and turn inward.
Someone asked me one day, if you could have anything that you wanted, if you could have your dream life, if it could look any way that you wanted it to look, what would it be? And I was stumped, because I was so used to being good at responding to my difficult circumstances that I even honored myself for being able to make the best of a bad situation. So I would constantly have to wait for bad situations to come around in order to identify who I was and to feel my strength to be able to go out there and do something. And so when someone asked me, well, if